Hi, everybody. This is Tim Travis, CEO of TNT Capital Management, and thank you for joining us today for this episode of the Dynamic Investing Podcast. And today we're going to talk about 10 financial tips for 2024 and beyond. So let's see if this thing works here. All right. So okay, so let's go ahead and let's get started. 10 financial tips for 2024 and beyond. Firstly, there's risk in all investing. Options aren't suitable for all investors. This is for educational purposes only, and past performance is not indicative of future results. Okay, so the first rule we're going to talk about is the 401k match. So if you're lucky enough where your employer provides a 401k match, whether that's 3%, 4%, whatever, you want to max that. That's just free money. It's an absolute no-brainer. That doesn't mean you always have to max out your 401k contribution in total, which we'll talk about in the next rule, but you definitely want to max out up to the match, okay? So rule number one, never miss out on that opportunity. Oh, whoops. Sorry, went one too far. Number two, the 401k isn't the only game in town. So a lot of 401ks, 403bs, they just don't have the best investment options for you. They might have expensive funds. They might have just a really limited amount of funds, a lot of target dated funds, and it's not great in many cases. So if you're in this situation, you're going to still want to take advantage of a 401k match that your company offers if they do offer one. But then what you can do is, instead of maxing out your 401k contribution in total, you can open a traditional or a Roth IRA to make the remainder of your contributions just depending on your income level. So if you're able to, if you qualify, making a Roth IRA contribution is a no-brainer. I mean, it's just fantastic. Yes, you don't get the tax benefit up front, but all your growth and your distributions are tax-free. But either way, you know, those vehicles, you have access to any type of investment pretty much. Whereas in the 401k or 403b, you're much more limited. But make sure you're maximizing your retirement investments if you can. But I'm just saying they don't have to be the 401k or 403b. So, and then if you switch jobs, make sure you roll over those 401ks into an IRA. You're going to keep the same tax benefits, but you're going to have way more investment options than you do in your 401k. Same thing, if you're 59 and a half years old, it's very likely that your company is going to allow you to do an in-service rollover, an in-service transfer. So talk to your administrator and see if that's something that's available. A lot of folks, don't realize that that's an option, but that allows you to invest that 401k however you see fit. You can still participate in the company match by keeping the 401k account open, but you're just transferring over funds that you've already accumulated there. So that's rule number two. Rule number three, don't skip a contribution year. Sounds simple, but a lot of people forget, especially when you're younger. You don't realize that you think, oh gosh, I need this money. I don't have a big cushion, but just make do. You got it. The earlier you start, the more the compounding takes place. Your life will be so much easier by making those contributions each year. Just make the sacrifice, whatever it means. Don't go out to dinners, if that's the cost. It'll get easier over time to make those contributions. But if you have earned income, contribute to your IRA, contribute to your 401k, contribute to your Roth. It's hugely beneficial. And so not taking those tax benefits hurts you. Automate. This is huge. So you're investing to your retirement plans, and outside of having a 3 to 6 month cash cushion for an emergency, which is important, your surplus funds, you want to get them investing, and having a cash account in addition to your retirement accounts is fantastic. Yes, it's a taxable account, right? So it's not perfect, but you have full control over that money. It's going to allow you to compound your wealth, make that money work for you in a lot of great ways. You have full control over it. There's a lot of innovative strategies that we're able to do. So maybe you're saving up for a house in 2 years. Well, you need that money to grow in the interim. Perfect. there's strategies that we can do that are conservative, but that can still get you growth. And so automate that. Set up an ACH, whether it's $200, $500, $1,500, whatever the number is, but get that going into your cash account. And as long as you're not putting yourself in a deficit, you obviously don't want to have credit card debt or any debt outside of maybe a mortgage, maybe student loans, maybe car payment. But this is where that next batch of money should go from. And if you do this, your odds of being well established and successful in retirement go up dramatically. I mean, I see it in examples of clients all the time. And it's been a big differentiator for me, I can tell you that. So outside of the IRAs, that's a great way to go. Rule number 5, Roth conversions. Roth IRAs are one of the most powerful tools out there because any growth, any distributions are tax-free. So yes, you have to hold the money for 5 years, but at 59.5, you get full access to it. It's just so powerful. And so even if you can't qualify for a Roth, if you make too much money or you and your partner make too much money, you can still do Roth conversions. So what we recommend doing is we want to chunk. So because when you're converting money from a traditional IRA or 401k to a Roth, you're paying taxes because you did not pay taxes going into those accounts. So you're going to pay taxes. So we want to chunk up to the level where it would increase your tax bracket. So it's something that takes a little bit of work, but it's not too hard to do, and you can definitely work with us to do it. But you pay the price up front with just higher near-term tax bills, but all the benefits, all of the growth, all of the future distributions are tax-free. So imagine having $1 million, $2 million, $5 million Roth IRA. Those are out there, believe me. So Roth conversions, take advantage of them. Social Security. As many retirees know, and people close to retirement, Social Security takes on a very big importance. It's going to be your primary or one of your few sources of guaranteed income. So determining when to begin drawing on that money is just a huge decision. And so you want to know all the pros and the cons. So talk to people about it. Your health, your likely lifespan. How long did your parents live to? Are there other assets that you can draw from to defer drawing on Social Security so that your guaranteed benefit grows? If a lot of times when people are looking at their break even on if I were to draw early versus drawing later, they're not factoring in the potential investment growth. So if you're drawing early but you're investing that money, the math changes quite a bit. Excuse me one sec. Excuse me. So I want you to really take that into consideration. Are there, you have spousal benefits, possibly survivor benefits. There's a lot of different things that we want to take into consideration. And so what we do see is that some people don't carefully plan how they're going to take their Social Security distributions, and they make a mistake, and it really costs them. And when you're on a fixed income, those types of mistakes can be fairly devastating. So let's avoid them by planning it out. So that's something that we will help you with. Give us a call. So now when we're retiring, we're going to work on a budget. And so a lot of people, they'll allocate $10,000 a year, $15,000 a year for travel, if you're lucky. And some people a lot more than that. And what I talk to people about is it's important to understand how our bodies change. And the reality is that the trips you're doing in your 60s have a way higher probability of being just fantastic for you, where you can do the stuff you want to do, get around comfortably, than they are in your 70s. So there's a lot of people now that are in great health in the 70s. Some people say the 70s is the new 50s, or the 50s are the new 70s, and whatever. Or no, the 70s are the new 50s. Sorry, got confused there. But yeah, I mean, you want to pay careful attention to that, and factor in higher travel expenses if you can afford it in those earlier golden years, and then dial it down, and maybe it's a cruise instead of going to Europe and walking around, something like that. but it's important just to take that into consideration, because it really does stink when people want to travel, but their body just won't let them. Okay, so I had a little chuckle today. I was thinking about this. So I'm 41 and a half years old. So I was in high school in the late 1990s during the tech bubble. And I remember having like an econ course, and one of the projects was you just would pick a stock and see which one does the best over the next 3 months. And there was no talk about fundamentals or anything like that, because that's how the market was back then. It was just gambling, and for a lot of people, and the fundamentals didn't make sense. And then 2000, I go to college, and the market had begun its bust. The tech bubble collapsed, and from peak to trough, the tech stocks dropped 80%. The S&P was down over 50%. And so, it was a great era for value investing. Value investing had a fantastic run from 2000 to 2007. And then 2008 comes, and we have the financial crisis. So stocks hadn't even recovered, to their former highs. And now here's the S&P dropping 50% again. And this was a way worse recession than 2000. So horrendous recession. Many people lost their jobs. Many people lost their homes. And the reality is there's been numerous periods where stocks have underperformed treasury bills for over a decade. So 1929 to 1947, 1968 to 1985, 2000 to 2013. So, older investors or investors that study history will understand this. There's a lot of kind of younger advisors, younger investors out there that think, well, if stocks will drop, yes, but then they are going to recover right away, and they don't properly understand that is not always what occurs. So starting valuations matter. Interest rates matter. If you've only been investing in a market where interest rates have been dropping, your experience is not the reality in a rising interest rate environment. So sequence risk, baby boomers are retiring. They're close to retirement. They've been retired. They can't afford a 40 to 50% drawdown early in retirement. It makes things so much worse, so much more stressful. So that's why, at TNT Capital Management, for instance, we hand select attractive bonds. We were buying bonds when rates were really rising and when spreads were wide during the bank panic and stuff like that in 2023. We were getting like 12 to 14% yield to maturities on some investment grade credits, believe it or not. So really high quality, definitely double digits on quite a bit of stuff. There's still good opportunities, but those investments produce fantastic returns with relatively low risk in our estimation. REITs had a huge sell-off, so we were able to buy just fantastic, still growing REITs at really high yields, investment grade quality. And then we'll also use conservative income generating strategies such as covered calls and cash secured puts, which can really improve your risk profile as well and enhance the income. So don't get too aggressive. Health savings accounts. This is one of my favorite tools. It's just fantastic what you can do. So you have to have a high deductible healthcare plan to qualify, but it's even better than a Roth in some respects because you get tax deductions going in. So when you put money into a health savings account, you can deduct that. It grows tax-free. And then when you pull the money out, it's tax-free as long as it's used for qualified medical expenses. So it's even better in a Roth in some respects, although you do have to make sure you're using the money for qualified medical expenses. Unfortunately, for folks like myself, I'm in California, but states like California and New Jersey don't recognize HSAs. So please keep that in mind. Talk to your advisor, talk to your tax professional about it. But HSAs are extraordinary. Then the last one, folks, make it easy for your family. We never know when it's our time to go. So just make sure you're double checking, updating your beneficiaries periodically. Make sure that you have the proper amount of life insurance. You have people that pass, and then you talk to their surviving spouse, and when you know that they have $1 million, $2 million of life insurance, which they can use to pay off the mortgage and help cover bills for the next few years, the relief is huge. It obviously doesn't take away the grief by any means, of course not. But just being prepared, you can make that time period so much easier for your surviving spouse and your children. estate planning comes into play, and we can assist you with all those types of things. But just don't take that lightly. Even if you're in your late 20s and you're having your first child or early 30s, just make sure that you're thinking about insurance and your beneficiaries. You don't want to be, bequeathing your assets to an ex-wife from 15 years ago that you don't talk to anymore, I imagine. So, well, that concludes the presentation. Thanks for joining us. If you'd like to schedule a free consultation, if you're not already a client, what we do is we manage accounts. Our primary custodian, Schwab, and then we're going to hand select securities in your portfolio, really tailor it to you based on your investment objectives and risk tolerance. And we dynamically manage things. So we use conservative income generating strategies like covered calls and cash secured puts. I started the firm almost 13 years ago now. And the reason why was because I didn't like a lot of the larger firms that I'd worked for. I didn't feel that I would want to invest my own money that way. So I wanted to start a firm where it's how I invest my own money, my family's money, that sort of thing. So thanks so much, and appreciate you guys joining us today. Join us next week. We'll have another episode on the Dynamic Investing Podcast, and thank you.